I call the order to Plan and Zoning Commission, City of Glen Rose, Texas, on February 21st, 2026. 26th. Why can I not read today? At 5:32 p.m. to order. We will all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, roll call. Greg Clanton is absent. Pam Streeter is here. Megan Schulke is absent. James Gosden.
Present.
Rex Miller.
Here.
With a 3-0, we are a quorum.
All right. We got one thing accomplished. We made quorum.
We made quorum. All right.
Yeah.
The consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from the January 29th board meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
Yes.
And is there any revisions that any of you feel we should be making?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So if there's no proposed changes, is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
Thank you guys for doing that. Motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Ta-da! That's 2 things we accomplished today.
There you go. I'm feeling better already. Those dopamine hits.
All right. Individual items for consideration. So we need to discuss the consideration, possible action, and appointment of a chair. We do this every year because we have new people who join the commission. The chair is the person who runs the meeting, is the primary point of contact for the building official, director of building, Jody, to kind of gather the agenda items, kind of put together content, and represents the commission at city council meetings to answer questions, etc. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Pam Streeter.
Second.
I accept that nomination.
So that's 3 things we accomplished.
All in favor of Pam Streeter. Is there any other nominations for anybody else on the?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think
I
so.
talked to Greg and his schedule.
Yeah, I already knew.
Yep.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, is there a motion to appoint chair as Pam Streeter for the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so we do need a vice chair.
Who was the vice chair? Was it William?
No. Was it Greg?
I think it was great.
Okay.
It was Greg.
Okay.
I nominate Greg.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Any objections?
We can't.
We can't because he's
No,
not
without him
here.
being here.
You have to be here.
Ah,
I got a surprise for him next month.
do we table that to
So
the
we
next-
have an option. So there's a
Okay.
couple of options here. One, we can nominate somebody else, like I could nominate Tony. And you could second it, and then he can
That's fine.
decline, and then we could force a tabling of this to the next meeting when everybody is present. Or we can just table the meeting until everybody's
Let's
present.
table it.
You want-
I think Megan would like to have input on it too.
Okay. So we will table that.
We have to remember to put that on.
Would
Okay.
anybody like some water?
I'm good,
Or
thank you.
got-
All right, so here's gonna be a really good thing. So the next item on our agenda is the discussion and consideration of possible actions regarding revisions to Article 14.02.005 definitions. And because this is really something that was Megan, I am suggesting that we make a motion to table this until Megan is present.
Second.
All in favor?
Now we go into workshop, is it?
Yes.
Cool.
So I think the big thing, so a couple of things, I'm gonna clear the 3 items first and then come back around.
Yeah.
Tiny homes, I know we all said we were gonna go do some research on. I know I haven't had time to do any research on it. I'm assuming that neither of you have had time to do any research on it. The Paluxy River housing overlay did not go through council. The Wolf City one did, but we still have to go back and do notifications to all of the homeowners and businesses within that overlay. We think we're double checking. So I just said we're not going to do. When we get that done, then we will go back to the overlay and make any additions, because we'll have to have a meeting, we'll have to vote it through, etc.
So the Paluxy overlay, did it not pass or did it not get covered? Did they not address it?
They did not pass it.
Oh, they did not pass it. So it's back to what was the main issue?
The council member's brother lived on the street that would have been in that overlay, and they didn't like what our thought process was.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
They felt that being riverfront property had more potential than what we were using it for.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted to leave that alone, let it kind of play itself out, but focus on the Wolf City area.
Got it.
So, the design standards for downtown, I felt like we had a fairly decent plan for what we were looking for in the downtown area. There was feedback on changing up the boundary of what the downtown area would look like. They kind of didn't want to push out and include Rivercrest. They want to put that in a separate boundary, kind of a compatible boundary to the square area. But they wanted to push the other side going down and including Oakdale Park more into the downtown boundary, kind of pick up Big Rocks, pick up Oakdale.
Got it.
Put it all into the downtown boundary, but cut the downtown boundary at Hereford and then create a more compatible boundary going around to 67 and that first part of 67, and then create more of the business 67 boundary. So
what are they thinking about the Rivercrest part? It could be developed differently.
it can be developed.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not that they didn't see the need for putting it into an overlay. They just felt that the overlay didn't have to have all the same restrictions as the
Right.
downtown did. So we
Okay.
should create a different overlay for that.
I can see some logic in that.
So, and because there are some limitations of what can be done because it's in a base flood elevation.
Right.
They felt like we had some time to kind of divine a better plan for that area.
Got it.
Okay. They are anxious for the idea of an overlay on Highway 67, not Highway 76. That's okay, because I said 21st, so
Well, at least I had it right on the
on the agenda.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, on my cheat sheet, there was a dyslexic moment.
on mine too.
What I wanted to talk about with you guys is because we kind of talked about the original idea of the boundary on 67. But I think it's key for us to understand, what are we trying to accomplish there? So I thought so I actually pulled it before it went to city council. Because all we had ever kind of done was really talked about the outline without really talking about what we wanted to see in that. So there's a couple of key things that I see having a need for keeping a 67 overlay in, which is there's certain types of development. Like, we
Car
don't
washes?
necessarily need a gas station on 67. We have a lot, but we do not have a gas station going down 144 to Walmart. So there would be potential for
Oh,
a
yeah.
gas station
Yeah.
on that side of the
Right.
river, and that we wouldn't want to say gas stations are not allowed or gas stations are specific use permits in any B2 category, because going down the river, going down 144 is a B2 category. So I think the need to be able to pick and choose and say, okay, look, 67 is overloaded with some of these business types, but we don't have it on the other side of the river, and we've got room for development on the other side of the river. Maybe some of these things could go over there is warranted.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Oh. I don't see where they would put one though, in the city limits unless the city limits gets moved down.
Well, the city limits can always be moved out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what annexation is, and now that there is a more, there appears to be soon a better agreement between city and county when annexation occurs. It may be more possible, because a gas station is going to want to be in the city limits.
So is Performance Auto in the county?
Yes,
I guess it is, yeah.
it's in the
Yeah,
county.
yeah.
I think the limits stop at 56, don't they?
Right about there, yeah. Right about at the turn, yeah. So there's just, all I'm saying is, if we wanted to put a stop to a gas station, we would put it as an SUP within the 67 highway overlay. It wouldn't be an SUP in any other place. Not that we have to create an overlay for 144, but just that anything that's B2 out there could become a gas station. There are a couple of lots that could be redeveloped. That, I mean, where his and hers was a gas station at one point. I mean, granted, the tank is probably not.
Yeah, there'd have to be some remediation.
There would have to be.
Yeah.
But there are some spots along
Or Gabe's gas station in front of
before you hit.
Public Works on that curve.
Where they sell the flags and the blankets.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to get a feel of, from all of you, both of you, you guys, what would be some of the other things we would be looking for 67, other than a control of certain types of business that can go there or couldn't go there? Is there any other architectural design things that we would be looking for? Is there any changes to sign ordinances that we'd be looking for there?
Just to standardize the signs
Yeah.
and to have some kind of upkeep requirements.
We have upkeep requirements on signs.
Okay,
We have upkeep requirements on property.
okay.
It has been a code enforcement problem
Got it.
of not
So it's not-
necessarily
not-
having code enforcement people. And then we had one and we have an open position.
Okay, got it.
When you say standardize, what are you
Well,
thinking?
So you've got, well, that's a good question. What I see is just
Hodgepodge.
hodgepodge of
Some are wood, some are electronic. some are-
Roddy, yeah. So I don't know if you can even standardize, because you've got some franchises that have their particular franchise, but I've been in places where even McDonald's has, like up in Portland, Maine, McDonald's has a wooden sign and it's a house. Basically, that they,
Yeah, no, I mean, when we talk about a chain standpoint, the chains do have to comply with city ordinances. So they have to find they have a variety of solutions for every occasion. They just tend to choose the one that is the biggest, ugliest, and most noticeable when somebody doesn't give them standards to follow.
well, that might be something to get some input on a town that has inherited. How do we go forward so that over the next 10 years we get a consistent look for
So-
Glenrose, a branded identity? I mean, Fredericksburg has that.
Okay, I'm putting a pin in that topic at the moment.
Right.
All right. What other things, Tony, do you have thoughts on what you would like to see as people are driving down 67 and
I think the ordinance we have now are pretty good. Clean parking lots, paved parking lots.
our problem is the ones that aren't
Following.
Yeah.
following.
Yeah. Or they're,
And that means the city needs to hire somebody to have the bandwidth to do that.
flower beds, there's the landscape ordinances they have to do. The ones that do it, I think, look good. My big deal about the signage is blocking your field of view when
Okay.
you're trying to pull out of somewhere. And I don't know how to dictate that on paper or what dimensions would be adequate to suffice. But that's my biggest pet peeve when I'm in any town.
Vertex dot, they've got 10 feet off the back of car.
Right. That's,
Is there
and I think it needs to be 10 feet off the property line. And, inset. And I don't know if 10 feet's sufficient, but
is that for safety reasons
Mhm.
that you're thinking?
Mhm.
yeah, like pulling up to right up here next to Grumps. If they were to put a sign right on their corner, you can't see that way. And then if the bank had one right here, you couldn't see that way.
Right.
But it's not just on streets, it's pulling in and out of any facility,
Mhm.
Mhm.
any property.
Yeah.
And I don't think this town has a big issue with that, but as I travel, there are some that are just horrible.
There's also the temporary signs that get put up, and this is where Stevens had to deal with a few of those situations that they don't get put in the proper place. I think one of our problems is also that in the past we have allowed grandfathering, and that the timeline for grandfathering, there is a business who looks like they had a paved parking lot at one point in time that is no longer a paved parking lot, and it is dirt and grass. And I can't say anything because my parking lot looks like shit too. But I think that we need to look at it from that standpoint of, okay, it's time. You've been given notifications, you've been this. If we put in the overlay and put that you have another year or something to clean up, that your grandfathering is over, would be an option. I don't know if it's legal to do that, but it would be something for us to look
How would we go
into.
through the files and find those grandfathered situations and
Whether it's legal or not, morally, I wouldn't be okay with making them fix the grandfathered parking lot?
Well, the grandfathers were all had a timeline to them, so we would have to go back through. Most of the time, it's that they either had like 5 years to come into compliance, or if they did X, it had to immediately come into
Yeah.
compliance. So it wasn't something. So our biggest, what I have noticed about our wonderful town is that a lot of times we have these rules where we say, okay, we're going to give you time. But then we never follow up and say your time's up.
Or personnel change and
Nobody
Right.
Just
remembers.
forget.
Nobody
Forgot.
remembers,
Right.
etc. So, I
Are these paper files or electronic files?
Good question.
Most likely gonna be paper if there are any.
Okay,
'Cause I-
the key operative word there is if there are any.
Right.
So that's when we then have to kind of create a new trigger for a grandfathering, and whether it's another 5 years or
And of course, if the property changes hands, that's not grandfathered anymore.
correct.
Right.
Or if they remodel a certain amount.
Right.
Maybe if they have to get a permit for something, then that actually
Triggers.
triggers it.
right. So all this sounds like it's a capacity issue.
I think from a code standpoint, it has always been a capacity issue in our community. I think that some of it is the capacity, and then some of it is in the past, and not more the recent past, but more of the distant past, was the
Legacy accommodation.
I'm trying to come up with the word.
I know
Yes,
what
I
you're
like
thinking.
that. I like that.
Legacy
Legacy accommodations.
Right.
Well, and even still, when we
Okay, that's a
had,
good old boy system.
when we had the code enforcement position filled and letters were sent out, the response that was coming back to me was, I've lived here for 20 years and never received a letter like this.
Right.
Well, now you have.
Which is why I feel that if we come in with an overlay that isn't really changing anything per se, other than something really minor, the notification has to go out, and that starts the conversation about, hey, things are going to start changing, and maybe you've never received anything in the past, but understand that, as a town, a very nicely worded, it's not that you're not in compliance, but understand that these are the things that need to be in compliance, and people are going to start looking for that. And so not give them the first, you're out of code, but the heads up, code's being looked at. Kind of.
Do we have
thing.
that position open that we're looking for a code
I
enforcement?
don't know if we've got that as a,
It's part of the job duties of a position that we're trying to get created.
Okay. Seems like a no-brainer.
well, because the person that has that also has a full-time job as being animal control, so
Oh,
she doesn't have the time.
she's also code enforcement?
But I thought we split that.
Matthew, I let go.
But the position is still split.
Kind of.
But she
But
still is
she's-
licensed.
No, I know she's licensed, but we'd split the position to hire a code enforcement person.
Yeah, I don't know. if
Just
that's
because
technically
when that position was let go, that position opens up and should have been posted. Okay, we're gonna have another talk.
Okay. So,
I don't have enough for somebody to be full-time.
Got it.
That's why it's getting incorporated.
In the other position.
you don't
Got
have
it.
enough code enforcement activity for someone to be full-time?
Right.
How did you determine that?
4 square miles.
Yeah, too small for a full-time.
I have some ideas.
Okay. I was gonna say, but we got a lot of backlog that will keep, I mean,
I have some ideas.
4 square miles. Got it.
For Scrum House. I have some ideas.
Personally, probably it's getting incorporated.
Yeah, I got where you're going.
Just go with it.
Okay, all right, got it.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm still, I want to define what standardized signs.
I'd like a standard location and a standard size.
Standard size, height, and
And set,
location.
Okay. Size, setback, / location.
As far as our town goes, and the right of way we have, 10 feet inside the property line should suffice. I'll take some time
And we said height, right?
and visit that.
Okay. Because right now our sign ordinance does have a lot of leeway based off size of building, based off frontage, et cetera. So we could,
just leeway on size.
yeah.
And that's for a marquee. Is there any ordinance for signage on the building?
Yes.
Mhm.
Just thinking, if they didn't like a small sign out front, they might put a 2-story sign on the building.
We have signage restrictions on the building. Okay, so that's what we were talking about standardized. So we're not looking for Guya Stepford Wife Place. We're just looking to be some consistency
Mhm.
so that it doesn't look humble jumble as you drive down 67. I can get on board with that.
Like I said, there's some that are electric, some are wood, some are metal. Just a hodgepodge.
So are you trying to think of a type you want to standardize? Because I'm not sure I'm as on board with that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Can we put something on that or?
You could. Is that what we want? My thing would be that a cost structure. So a sign that is wood on a post is obviously a lot cheaper than a sign that is metal with electronics. Now, previously Troy and council have removed the rolling electronics, the ever-changing scrolling electronics for new
Like at
signage.
Expo?
Like at Expo, like at Dairy Queen. Those two are grandfathered in. Didn't want that anymore. But like we did say, hey, gas stations have to be allowed to change their electronic sign for pricing points, et cetera. So, I mean,
I mean, I don't know what the cost point is on like those lighted plastics.
well, you've seen the sign in front of my building, right? Black post, black sign, white letter, about that thick, $9,000.
I would be fine with even the lighted ones as long as you turn them off at night.
Yeah,
Go until 5 at night, blind yourself.
Mm-hmm. Have them set on a timer.
As far as the structure or materials, I guess personally, I would leave that up to the business owner. They can kind of match whatever they're going for,
right.
rustic or modern.
I mean, that's how it-
As long as it looks nice.
As
Yeah,
long as it looks nice and is in good working order, it's not fixing to fall over.
okay. Okay. So I will take that back and play with some of that and kind of bring some ideas forward for us that we can then incorporate as we tackle that overlay district. But I just kind of wanted to talk it through and get some better understanding of what would we like to see if we were to create that overlay. Joe, I appreciate that. So back to the one that we're gonna have the most fun talking about. Permit fees. So
What
it's
is it?
permit
Oh,
fees.
permit.
So that is the packet that
Jody Davis.
Jody gave you when you guys walked in. So this is in essence what is currently being followed when somebody has work that needs to be done. And as Stephen had an idea about some updating of fees that council, at the council meeting, council members were quite honestly confused because some of the fees they didn't understand. Some of the fees are like, why would we charge for that? And so it kind of went, let's take it back to the drawing board. And so the drawing board is actually us. Since fees fall under zoning. And so Stephen did some research and found some towns that had streamlined the fee structure because it's, I mean, like I'm sitting here going through this list, and Tony, I know you know this list probably better than all of us.
And they're confused like the rest of us.
Welcome to
Well,
my
it just
world.
feels like a lot of nickel and diming.
Mhm.
And like I was sitting here going, okay, new construction, I kind of understand some of that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But like when then I get to, you know, repairing an HVAC system, I guarantee you that my HVAC company never came over here and pulled a fee to put in a new capacitor or something like that. You know, guarantee
And
you.
this is for commercial property.
This is for residential and commercial.
Hmm.
It's all of it.
Yeah. You got one main problem. There's no way to track any of it.
Well, that's
Know about a full-time code enforcement?
that's kind of where we were
Right.
going with this whole thing. And so,
Well, and this doesn't even follow code enforcement. It falls under voting official and,
Really?
yeah,
Falls under what?
building official,
Oh,
so one of the comments,
assistant building official.
what's the purpose of this? Let's start
so
with the end.
let's go, that's where I wanted to take it. So one of the things is, what is the point of having permit fees? And it is two things. One is to ensure that what is being built, worked on, replaced is being done in a proper way
Sure.
to the commercial business owner or the residential owner. Like, for example, I had a hot water heater put in, and the plumber, every time we said, where's the pan? There needs to be a pan under this tank. It was, no, there doesn't. We're like, we want a pan under the tank. You don't have to have a pan. Well,
He didn't pull a permit, did he?
yes, he did. And in the inspection, Dennis came out and flat out flagged them and said
Where's
there's
the
supposed to
pan?
be a pan. So some of the point of permits is to catch things like that where a contractor, not you, or a repairman or a workman isn't doing things in the best light to code. And it's not code that the city writes, it's code, the
Sure.
international
Yeah, right.
code.
National
Helps to
Electric Code or
prevent
whatever.
Property damage
Right.
and also enforce life safety.
Well, so is there a certain degree, level, size of repair renovation where someone should pull a permit to make sure they're a qualified supplier, contractor?
Well, so
I mean,
that's part of where this goes.
If I just want another electrical outlet put in.
So that was actually the example that was brought up at city council,
Okay.
because they saw a line item that said fixture. And so the first thing said, well, if I wanted to put a different chandelier up than the one I had, you're gonna charge me a permit fee. And I'm like, no. No. But if somebody's coming in is going to pull power from one wire to, and then bring it and add an additional fixture, do you want to make sure that who's doing that knows what the hell they're doing?
So,
But reality is, when somebody's doing that to their own home, or they're doing it to a commercial building and they're doing it themselves, they're never going to come in here and pull a permit.
They don't have to.
If they hire a electrician, if the electrician is fully upright and honest,
Right.
they would walk in and get a permit.
Because they have to register with us.
I have yet. Again, I've had outlets had to be changed. I've had outlets that we've had to add for things on my property, and I hired a electric company that was run by a official within the
oh, yeah.
county. They never pulled a permit. I had housework done in Phoenix, and I asked my contractor, do we need to pull a permit? We're moving gas line. Do we need to pull a permit?
So,
We could, but I'm like, it's a gas line. I'd like a permit pulled, you know.
so where do we balance between buyer beware and this is for your protection?
So that's a good question. The other thing that we kind of would like permits to do is not be a revenue source for the city, but to fund the paperwork and the employee status of the work that has to do to build these things. So the first idea of what should be permitted is one question. The second then is what should the permit cost? And the goal would be to get it to cover the expenses of the building office, would be the answer. So Stephen did some research and looked at a bunch of other towns and basically kind of narrowed down some permit concepts that I kind of want to
Okay.
take through with you. And Stephen, I'm going to let you jump in when I start to go astray with the wording. So things like a garage sale, a street vendor permit, a sign permit, forms where they have to apply for a zoning change, or they have to apply for a plat or a certificate of occupancy. None of those really require inspections. The work then, if there's work that comes later that they may have to have inspections for, but we're calling those all kind of one fee thing, one fee group that we can kind of set a realistic, reasonable fee for that covers basically the cost of, it takes, Jody, it takes, as they timed it from, and going everything by half hours and hours. So to pull the permit, sign it, get everything done, file it, you know, a street vendor permit, you know, 30 minutes. So if we just kind of say, hey, look, no matter what it is, when we're dealing with the very basic of life, it's 30 minutes worth of work. Now, there's printing that has to be done. There's this, there's that, there's, you know, ink and whatnot. So there's some cost related to that, plus the person's time in the office.
Well, can
Not
I
using it.
say one thing
Yeah.
on like the mobile food vendor? I have to do a background check of everybody who is going to work that food truck. So we have that in addition to,
You have to do a background check on everybody that has to work the food truck.
But you don't have
that
to
is
do
in
that
the
for,
ordinance.
you don't have to do that in a restaurant or anything.
Okay, well, we're going to change that ordinance.
Yes, I have to take the time, I gotta get a copy of the license of whoever's expected to work it, plus run background checks.
And how long does it take you to do a background check?
There's
Well,
a cost to doing a background check.
Because the fee for that is only $5.
well, it's $300 for a mobile food vendor.
But that's also because the mobile food vendor has to have a fire inspection too.
Okay, but how many background checks comes with that $300?
Well, I think it's up to,
I'll say it's 5.
I think it's up to 5, and then if you're over 5 people, it's an additional like $5 or something per.
Which is probably way under.
Okay, so that brings the fee for the vendor application down to $275. How long and what is the cost that we have to pay for it?
I have to upload to get tokens in order to run it. So it all kind of depends.
So without necessarily,
10 minutes per person.
Probably.
All right, so there's $10.
well, I think we're gonna, no restaurant has to have the city do a background check on anybody that works there. So why the hell would we make them do it on a mobile food truck?
Yeah, why is that?
Ordinance.
It's in the ordinance. I
So-
follow it.
We're gonna get rid of that from the ordinance, because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, as long as they meet the standards.
I mean, you don't do background checks on anybody who buys or starts to operate a restaurant. You're not doing a background check. I mean, the only thing I can think of as a background check is because if they're gonna move the truck, they're gonna drive the truck.
That ends up being a police
DMV thing.
matter.
Yeah,
If,
I don't.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We're gonna that's just stupid. I'm sorry. I'm all for, saying fair is fair. I mean, we have a fire inspection on our restaurant when we have, equipment put in. A food truck needs to have a fire inspection. We have a certificate of occupancy. A food truck should have some type of a certificate of occupancy, whatever that is. But an employee background check, no.
Yeah, and a commercial certificate of occupancy, you have 2 inspections. You've got the fire department that goes out,
Right.
and then you've got the building official.
Right. So the idea is to the first idea is to get rid of all these nickel and diming things and be a little bit more median in the fee structures. So that we're not sitting here asking the plumber, well, how many faucets are you putting in? How many toilets are you putting in? How many shut-off valves are you putting in?
Here's a prime example, the roofing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different roofing permit types and
Depending on
sizes.
square footage.
Whereas on the new one, it's just a flat roofing permit fee.
So
Where did this come from?
These are our current
This
fees
is the current
this has
fees.
been in place for years.
since 2022.
Well, may have been longer. That's just the last time it was
Was
updated.
there-
That's when Kyle.
Was there an audit on how much has actually been collected
So
on these?
this is where some very rough math that Stephen has done is he's kind of looked at an average, a 5-year average that new residential, there was about 104 permits pulled, 30 commercial permits pulled, and an average of about 1,271 permits pulled. That if you simply took the average of the cost per permit, not the detail of everything actually captured and revenue collected, but if we took the average of the permits pulled, it's $5,566.72 per permit. Right? Per hour. What am I reading that right? I'm not reading that right, apparently.
It sounds high, but
5,066.
No, the average is $373.
Okay, then what was the 566?
That's the,
total.
what's in the blue
Oh, the commercial,
commercial.
the new commercial. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, got it. So new commercial, 30, on average, 30 new commercial permits pulled, 5,566.
Okay.
Okay. When we look at new residential, 104 pulled, an average of 1,756. And when
That's new
we,
construction.
New residential.
so when we blend all of the various different permits pulled, that's where we get an average of permits being 373.49.
Okay.
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 The problem is that the cost, when we look at labor plus supplies, equipment, communications, computers, blah, 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 we're upside down. And so, like, right now, the building department has a truck that could be considered unsafe by any normal driver. If we still had state inspections, probably wouldn't pass a state inspection. But there isn't money in the budget for them to be able to get a safe vehicle to do the code enforcement or to drive around and do the inspection. So we need to reinvent the wheel.
How much are we underwater by? What would it take? What would the average fee need to be to cover the cost?
So this is a break even based on the budget. And I've got it broke down into tiers where they're grouped together based on how close they are with what the cost is and what it should be. So, is this a touchscreen? No.
No, sorry.
Awful.
It's a very old Apple. It's 15 years old.
See, you got your money's worth. out.
Yes, I did.
So basically for an hour of work to do all the processing and everything for the paperwork, the inspections, plan reviews, it averages out that we need at least $127.97 per permit. So you take all those, have a combined hours of how long all those take, and it comes up with a total cost. So the minimum is like garage sale, street vendors, sign permits, about $64 is what it costs to just cover all that. For say.
And no, we're
accessory-
not going to charge $64 for a garage sale permit. That's,
Luckily, City Hall is dealing with those. I don't have to
Yeah.
touch those.
So for say an accessory building, there's no plan reviews, but we do have inspection and permit time. So that comes out to about $127.97, 1 hour worth of work. So I've grouped all those together as say $130. That way they're all right there close.
Right.
Some of these, we are so upside down that, where is it? For a residential CO, for new residential, we're $110 in the hole on that.
What are you currently charging for new residential? Is that 175?
No, that's, we don't have any additional charge for a CO for commercial, or for residential.
But yet we've still got to do the paperwork.
Sure.
and-
How much do we charge for residential?
we don't.
Oh, we don't.
That's what she's saying.
Oh,
So we're upside down on that. Because we've still got our
sure.
time.
Right, right.
Because you still have to have the fire
Equipment.
marshal out, you still have to have the building inspectors, and then
Sure.
each permit
That makes sense.
into the build has a permit fee, but the actual finish to get the CO, they're not charging, even though there's work that has to be done for that aspect.
So these are not ours, these are,
No, those are ours. That's our current fee structure. So, Tony, your company builds things.
Mhm.
What do you think if instead of having a plumbing, well, instead of having a fee per faucet, per fixture, per this, per that, that pennies on the dollar, there was just a, hey, you're building a 2,500 square foot home, 3 bath, 2 bed.
Let me word it this way. Would you rather go through this or just 8 groups of inspections that is a lot simpler to understand?
Well, and the new builds isn't the problem, it's the remodels.
Yeah,
Right.
Because the new builds are based on the square footage, but remodels are based off of, like Glenn
Sure.
Wilson and his commercial properties. It's like he's installing shampoo bowls and he's doing
Yeah.
this and it's,
whereas with the new one, it's pretty much a base fee.
Right, but I mean, no one's gonna come in and get a permit to replace a faucet, right?
Right, that's what we're saying. So why would we even waste anybody's time
Right.
for that?
If a homeowner's doing it, they can do it themselves.
Yeah,
But if it's a licensed plumber, they know they gotta come in and get this, and
But they
this
don't.
makes it a lot easier on them and the rest of us.
So I'm thinking out loud. The contractors that work here, if there was an annual fee,
They have a registration fee,
okay,
like $50, right?
right, but
Something like that.
but an annual fee that would cover any work they would do, and it's based on an average of the work they've done in the last
You
year.
couldn't
do that.
track
Can't
that.
do that.
House bill, something.
you'll
Okay,
drive contractors away.
all right.
What about? Which,
How do you simplify this then?
So,
Because you're gonna have
so here's,
people just ignore
so
it.
here's the thing. So here's the thought process. So if you take, so in the current packet, if you go under,
Just use the first one here, sun permit fees. It would be a base of,
well, I was gonna look at the commercial, so under electrical permit fees, number 4. So So this is residential and commercial add-on or remodel.
20 cents per amp. Okay,
And then 20 cents per feeders per amp, and then $5 branch circuits per amp, and then $40 for the first 500 square feet, and then after it's 8 cents. And then,
yeah, this sounds, I mean, this is like cost estimating, and you need cost estimating
So-
software to plug it in. And
if you just said electrical remodel, here's the fee. Electrical new construction, here's the fee. Would that make more sense?
and maybe, have a permit for electrical or plumbing or whatever for either simply fixing or
it's in there.
raising the standard of what is existing. You're not remodeling the whole house. You're just
upgrade.
updating versus adding square footage or completely remodeling the house. Have a tier of to what degree are you constructing or reconstructing?
So I'm just gonna try to, because I'm a simple brain sometimes.
Mhm.
So if somebody was just, hey, my faucet's leaking, I don't know how to do this stuff. I need somebody to come out and do it, but it's the exact same thing. They're not doing anything different. There's no permit fee.
Right.
If they are running new water lines, changing out
So going from
PVC to
PEX.
PEX,
Yeah.
a permit fee. Okay,
If they're
Making substantial changes.
adding square footage,
permit fee,
a higher permit fee.
a higher permit fee.
And maybe that can be in line or in the same tier as if you're adding square footage versus completely remodeling the inside of the house.
Okay,
And see, we've got that on here. I've got electrical repairs. It would cost the city $191.96. And
So $200.
yeah,
let's see, electrical remodel. It would cost $255.94 for the city. So I've got it broke down, new remodel and repairs.
Yeah.
So it's
That
all
makes
in
sense
this
to you?
new, it's all in this new tier system
well, I didn't give him a copy of that yet.
that I came up with.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't
based
give him a
off of-
copy of that. I wanted to talk it out and then bring this around and.
It's a lot less of a accounting nightmare than keeping up with feeders and ads.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
yeah.
And this is based on Universal Cities fee schedule.
This is a lot cleaner to read and look
Why
at.
didn't I
Right,
go
yeah.
home and drink?
But you can see I've got it color coded part of the tiers.
Yep.
And I
And
feel like I'm nitpicking when I'm
That
asking
makes it-
somebody.
Right.
okay, here's what I'm doing. Boom, done.
Okay, so under that concept,
I would just round them up to.
Yeah.
That's what I did, rounded them up to the next $5.
Right.
And that way it's like a $2 or $3 that, because we don't want to make this as a revenue.
It's like, how many?
I just wanted to cover our fees,
HVACs are you
our
putting in?
costs.
Because it's per unit.
So that's how I came up with that because
Oh,
Universal
it's
City
one
uses
system.
it.
It's a huge improvement.
I mean,
I think-
okay, so just to run through these categories so that we're all kind of saying, yeah, this all, now that the concept has been established. So a street vendor fee would go from an average of 180, 145 down to 120. And that is because we have,
And if we get the ordinance rewritten, we can redo
redo that number.
the
Okay, a
numbers.
sign permit has an average of $106. So that would be 110. Except that hang on, because now I got to remember this line over here. Okay. The county or the city, not the county, the city needs $128. So the sign permit would go from 106 to 130. The street, they need 105. So we could actually go lower
Some of
on,
these go lower, some.
so we could go from the 181. I was reading it wrong. We could go from the 181 to 110 because we need 105 for the city to cover its cost. All right. All of the niggly paperwork that they have to do to come sit before us and talk to us about things has an average of a 429.98. We could bring that down to 130.
But the problem with some of that is all those letters have to go out certified.
That has to be a separate line item, I think. I think that the mailing then,
I just need to go back and add that into the formula.
so,
Because that all depends on how many letters are going out.
correct.
And a lot of those where
We'll just figure out the 5-year average on it and add it in.
So do we do that, or if it's something, I don't necessarily want to penalize somebody because if somebody's on the square and we know that there's 100 letters that have to go out, but if somebody's further out and there's only 10 letters to go out, should the person with 10 have to pay the same amount as the person with 100?
Well, it goes into,
Or, do we-
our direct and indirect costs.
okay,
It goes into the formula.
okay. So we need to look at the cost of our postage and then just do a median on that and add it so that it will balance out over everybody.
Right.
So everybody pays a fair share. Or do we charge it by the number of mailings per request that
And then
person
the
has
problem
to
with
You
generate?
that
can't
is
keep
you have
up
to try
with
and figure out,
How
oh wait,
many
I
things
had
you're gonna do.
this many letters.
Yeah, so we should just do it as an average. And then when it is something like what we're doing with these overlays and it's being generated because of a city need, then we need to look at that separately. Because like to do these overlays are gonna be huge mailings.
That's why I said,
Well, I get it, but we have to do it, or we think we have to, so we still have to follow up on that. Okay, so it's gonna be 120 plus an average of certified letter mailings, okay?
What is that, $10 per?
Per person.
I haven't had to do one in a while, so I have to look.
Yeah,
Certified letter?
per letter.
Yeah, about. So we assume that most often we're doing 20 mailings per request.
Yeah, and then I'll,
Yeah, that's another 200 right there. So that fee's gonna go up. But it's a
But it-
fair up
It goes into the direct
Yeah.
and indirect cost,
cost, right?
which would make that 127 go up just a little bit.
Okay. Board of Adjustment, so this is when somebody is applying for a variance and bypassing things. So again, that's another mailing one we need to look at. To get to the right number. All right, accessory building. So this is one that currently averages 57.75, but it would have to go to a 130. So in the idea that somebody has bought and wants to place an accessory building on their property, there is looking at the foundation, there is looking at its setbacks, making sure all of that is done properly.
Should be one inspection and
Yeah, when we look at the cost of one of these buildings, it's $130 an unreasonable expense to ask for.
Talking about the little portable buildings.
Yeah,
I'd say not.
okay. So right now we don't do residential COs. But in reality, it's 130. Should we start charging or do we up the new construction permit fees to accommodate the residential CO fee?
So there's no inspection
There's inspections along,
along the way.
I've got one final inspection for a CO.
Okay, for a house, yeah. Yeah, I don't see why that would have a different structure to it.
if we're lowering all the nickel and dimed construction fees, would a CO fee make sense?
CO.
Certificate of occupancy.
Oh,
Yeah, a person has to go out and inspect it, and you've got a fire inspection, and you've got a building inspector.
yeah,
That's,
And we're looking at $130
Fuel.
fee.
yeah, I think that's reasonable.
just 130?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't,
they're cheap, yeah. That's cheap for their time.
that's what I'm saying.
You got You got two
3 or 4
professionals that
people.
go out there. They gotta drive out there, they gotta wait for the owner to,
well, and on
That's
a
right.
residential, you don't have Brad going out there though. That's just you.
Yeah,
Yeah, commercial, we have Brad going.
Commercial, Brad goes.
Commercial needs to be higher. But on a residential, the builder has already paid a lot of fees along the way, but this is just the final thing. And quite honestly, could be included in the closing cost because you can't close on the property until the CO is in place.
That's fine. And then what's commercial, 250?
Well, yeah. 260, 250, because you got 2 inspectors.
Well, and some of those require multiple times because
Because they've got corrections to be made.
And that's another thing. If it ain't right the first time, you're gonna charge them again to go back?
First time's free, after that it costs.
What's it cost?
We'll have to come up with that
You have to come
number.
up with a number.
I
So
mean,
you
that-
go out once, that's the 130, you get a second round of corrections. So if you have corrections, you get a second visit free. If you have to go out back a third or fourth time, another fee.
What's an average visit in time?
30 minutes.
Okay, so you got at least, what, $50 in cost? To drive up there, spend your time and get back to work at the office?
Well, cause how much are we talking, how much
Then you got paperwork?
is fire department charging? We ended
We
up,
came
So
up with-
Probably be,
An average of,
with me and Brad both, it'd probably be that 130
For one visit?
for a reinspect.
Yeah.
I know some municipalities have $200 for reinspection, so
Well, I was gonna say, go inspect. And if you don't wanna do it again, the second inspection, out of good graces, not charging it a fine, but the next time, charge them again. Third visit.
Yeah.
new
third
charge.
visits cost,
Right,
pay before we go.
and, you know, if you're giving them clear directions, then they should follow it, and if not,
well, if they're following code, they shouldn't need a reinspection at all.
right.
But
Well, there are some judgment calls, you know, like on,
but there's a lot of buildings around that don't have addresses on the outside.
yeah,
And that's one of the comments is need an address.
okay, so if we were to do the reinspection of a commercial fee, I would say it's still the 130 again.
Commercial?
I thought.
I'm sorry, the residential.
Residential, yeah.
Yeah, and then the commercial, we're saying I would go to 260. And then the reinspection fee is 260. And do we want to say that that's after so your first inspection is paid for, you'll do a recheck for free, and then if you have to go a third time, they pay
Third
it?
time is when they pay it.
Okay,
And is that an inspection on the entire facility or, each trade?
an entire facility. Because the
So-
inspections for each trade are done during the building process.
Yeah, so if you have a building change hands, you've got somebody that's moved out, you've got somebody new that's moved in,
You have
before
to
that business can open,
has to get a new CO.
has to get a
Right.
new CO. Cause you need to make sure fire extinguishers are current, you need to make sure exit lights are working.
Yeah.
Don't have extension cords
Mm-hmm.
that are being
It's
used.
a basic life safety,
So it's just final inspections.
basically.
So they can't get into the trades works on those things because the wiring's all in the walls, everything's
Yeah.
done. You're just,
The only thing I could hit them on is like if the cover's off the outlet,
Gotcha.
because you can, stick your fingers in there. That's a life safety.
Electrical panels being blocked.
Egress, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair.
is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Tip business sign, we don't charge for,
And we're losing money.
so when you say a temp business sign, just so that we can clarify a definition here, what would you consider?
When Starbucks opened, that banner they
banner.
had,
And it was temporary.
this is now open. That's a temporary business sign.
You've got the new Western store along 67, that's a temp banner.
Mhm.
For lease signs, temp banner. Some of the landscaping signs that are up 67 in a couple of spots, that's a
Some
temp
of the
banner.
plumbers have that.
So
So
cost,
like a home builder putting their little political signs, that it's not a political sign, same size.
Direction sign.
Yeah, like this is
Going
Cut-
open
Kudo
house.
Homes or whatever. That's
That's a temp sign.
I'll tell you the perfect one, Sheldon Homes. this weekend had signs out going open house for sale. Those are, temporary for the weekend.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm gonna differentiate some things here. You're not gonna like me. I think if you are doing a banner sign that you're hanging off your building, that's gonna be there a couple of weeks, a couple of months.
You can only have a tent banner up for 30 days and every 90-day period as the current ordinances.
Per ordinance.
So,
If it's on the inside of the building facing out, is it considered a sign? Or if it's mounted on the front glass, is it considered a sign?
If it's outside,
If it's
If it's inside, then.
it's on their
not.
property,
if it's on the inside,
I mean, like it's on their building.
on the outside,
So, yeah.
it's advertisement.
I'm just thinking about the lease, per lease.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
think,
charge
no,
for that.
we have in the sign ordinances, for lease signs are not feed. So
Okay.
that, for sale signs, for lease signs do not have fees in our sign ordinance itself. So we do need to clarify that, because that would be,
I would just feel
Undue
bad
burden.
because the empty building's already costing them money.
yeah, I mean, it's, that's an undue burden that we're not gonna do. A sign that's up for 2 days, charging $130 per sign when they're putting 5 or 6 up to point in the direction of a garage sale or an open house or something, I think that's
Well, the
unreasonable.
garage sale,
I'm just- I
those
think
signs are,
Open house,
yeah.
all of that, I think 130 per sign is unreasonable.
I think you should do it by dimension of sign. Can't do that?
We could, but that
Make
gets all
it so,
convoluted again.
That's split.
especially because we're fixing to go to a computerized system
Yeah.
where you'll be able to log in and here's the permit that I need, pay it, and
Print it out and go down the road.
I'm okay with saying that if you're hanging up a sign that is an advertisement for your business, like the Western Store has, or Love and Amen, or My Peddler, that it is a, hey, my name has changed, or I'm building a new business, or something that is attached to the building and is bigger than the little yard sign things, that, yeah, I'm okay with saying there's $130 fee for that. I'm not sure I'm okay with saying that I put a sign on a corner pointing somebody to an open house, and then I put a sign on another corner pointing that the open house is to the right. $130 for times 2. I'm not,
No.
it's not times 2,
it would be
one permit.
1 permit.
To point someone to an
various
open house.
So if they were putting up 5 signs, or they were putting up 1 sign, it's 130.
Because it's the processing. of
But it's a
paperwork.
yard sign. So maybe there's a difference between a,
So realtor signs get charged every time they put, okay.
Should they?
should they?
Well, you've got Sheldon Holmes that's got them up every weekend. And if he's having to pull every weekend, I'm having to do a temporary permit
Every week.
Every
application
weekend.
every weekend.
Is he getting permits?
Mhm.
He did last
Yeah.
weekend. But he wasn't happy about finding out. So there's 52 weeks in a year, so I have to fill this out every time. And I said, I don't like it any better than you do.
Quit putting signs up.
It's ordinance.
And I'm thinking, you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
We're not charging you anything for it,
Yeah. The permit's free?
for the 10
Right now,
signs.
yeah. That's what I'm saying, we're losing that
And what's the purpose of the permit?
Make sure the sign placements are in the right place.
Just like the
Well-
one that was out in front of the expo, the
Block
expo
the
had
view.
said, go ahead and put it out front. Didn't say don't put it in the right of
Alright.
way.
Is there any way to say in there like a time frame? You know, it's $75 or $130
For
for
3 months,
this many days.
something like that,
You
Yeah,
can't do 3
Right.
months.
30
Ordinance
days.
allows it for
30
1 month
days.
out of 3.
Okay, 3 consecutive days in every 90-day period is the exact wording.
Okay,
What if they're not?
so again, I'm okay with that when it's on the building. I'm struggling with what to do with these directional yard signs. That I think that situation you're describing is unreasonable for you and him.
Well, per the ordinance, the way I just understood it, 30 days out of every 90 days.
Consecutive.
30
Consecutive.
consecutive days in every
but he's
90
only
days.
So if he
doing it
pulls
on
it-
weekends, right?
He's got to do it again for the next week.
All right.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah. He can
So the
only do it for
Western
4
store
weeks,
has got
and then he
theirs
can't do it
hung
for
up.
2
So,
months.
so Starbucks had a sign hung up for, let's call it a month, and then they had to take that sign down. So
Starbucks was not.
I'm just saying, the Western store has a sign. I mean, the Pie Peddler had a sign up for 5 years.
Well, but you still have,
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying where we're trying to go to. So love and amen and all of that. Those are temporary business signs saying, this is my name while I'm waiting for a permanent sign. Then there's the signs that are fundraiser signs or are directional to help get somebody to a place sign that is only up for a couple of days.
The perfect one's the youth sports league. Theirs were up for 3 weeks.
What if I have it up for 29 days and I take it down?
And then on the 31st day, go again.
Yeah. Can I do that?
Gray area, let's not go there. I'm not city council, I'm not the
I
one.
mean,
that
essentially,
measures.
that's the same thing that this guy's doing, taking it down every week, because he's getting a new permit every time. And so he's gonna.
That's why I think that we need to change that, because I think that it's an awful lot of work and paperwork processing that,
and keeping track of, okay, well, when was the sign
Yeah.
supposed to come down?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm one person.
The ordinance needs to be changed.
it used to be 90 days. There was a person that switched it to 30. And my whole thing was just stop letting it be years. So I say that if we're gonna do $130 for these yard signs, that's good for 30 days. And then they have to reapply.
A little yard sign?
If they're putting 60 of them up,
Yeah, if it's just one,
Then they need to get a permit for every one of them.
no, that's what
No.
they're saying is that's one permit.
It's one permit, you just gotta write all the locations you're pulling out.
So,
or up Texas Drive, down 67.
But the realtor sign at the corner of Biloxi Street,
The one that's been there, yeah.
that got a permit?
realtors don't have to have permits.
Okay, all right, just to clarify. That makes sense.
Why not? They're a business.
If they are selling an actual house, an individual
Protected by
house,
the state.
Yeah.
This guy's selling houses, isn't he?
but he's
He's
selling,
the sign company that is. He's trying to get them up to the development. You've got houses that are being
He's a
built.
third party. Like
I
Someone
I'm,
understand what you're saying. I
like I'm
get
the
what you're saying.
builder and you own a street sign company, I hire you to do it.
Gotcha.
It's third party.
So if it's my house, I'm building it, I can put a sign up, no fee? Gotcha. What if I'm just the contractor on the property?
And you want to put a sign up,
Oh,
you gotta have a permit.
Well, I mean,
I think we're getting, okay. Do we all agree that a fee of $130 for a sign that is a banner attached and announcing a store name, not directional, but a store name or something?
Temporary sign.
That's a temporary sign,
Mhm.
right? 130, 30 days, we're done. I think,
Now you gotta get council to change that ordinance.
one thing at a time. I think that considering these yard directional signs or something of that nature as a temp business sign, we need to redefine that. Because I think that we've just made way too much paperwork for staff for something that in order to keep up with the expense of that is ridiculous.
Is it a problem now? What is the problem with?
Well, right now
with
they're
the
doing this because they
signs?
are required by our ordinances to have these things. So this is another one of those we need to change an ordinance thing.
But what is the problem of the temporary sign, like the yard signs and things like that? Is there a problem?
We have so many people that are putting them up in areas, it's like, it's
They're
one
putting it on
thing,
people's personal property. They're
Yeah,
Oh,
putting them
you've got
in
to-
the right
Those
away.
third-party companies, I get that.
well, just in general.
No,
you
even-
should have the property owner's permission to do it.
I
Now,
get
whether
that
you're
too.
doing that,
Right,
it's like the
got it.
yard
Yeah.
signs I just did for the weekend, I'm like, okay, you should have property owner permission putting them up Texas Drive.
Right.
And if TxDOT comes and pulls those,
Or if the property owner pulls them,
Right,
you lose.
correct. Okay, so we're gonna come back around to that.
Okay.
All right. Certificate of appropriateness, we do not charge for it. You're not gonna be able to do that. We're gonna have to suck that up somewhere else.
It's just in the.
No, I got you. It's
So-
just one of those ones that we're gonna have to suck that up somewhere else.
but we also don't have mailings and
Right.
that go with that.
Correct. Right, so that fee math is probably, that probably should go up to yellow as opposed to. Okay. Mechanical repair. So mechanical repair would include what in this concept?
Your HVAC goes out, and they come and redo the compressor on it.
I don't know that I have that many come in for a repair.
Yeah, I was
Could
gonna
be
say,
a
They usually
replacement.
don't.
there's no way you can monitor that. Because they come in and they do, and it's, they do a diagnostics on it, and then you have no clue until they do diagnostics as to what the problem is, and
Whether
then,
it's low on Freon or,
or even replacing water heater or a air conditioning unit. How are you gonna know?
I can agree with if
We-
you're replacing a full system, a permit.
Sure, right,
But here's the issue with water heater, that's plumbing. They do it incorrectly. It can backfeed into the system and kill people. So that one's got to have a permit.
backfeed into what system?
Okay, so,
The
so,
main
so,
water system.
hang on. Okay, let's start with so under mechanical, we're talking about HVAC. So air conditioning repairs, flux capacitors, switches, fuses, thermostats. Come on. We're not getting
we're not getting permits pulled by anybody for that
Thermostats is-
stuff.
No, give me a second.
You bet.
Okay, I had a hot water heat repair done yesterday. Well, it turns out our inspector did not check the vent on our roof when I had it installed. And the wrong vent was installed. And it let water into my system and it burnt out the heating exchange. So a whole brand new tankless heater had to be replaced.
That's why you didn't have hot water.
I guarantee you they didn't come down here and pull a permit.
No, they did not.
And if I knew who it was, I could report them to the state.
Let's not do that. The trucks were in front of my building all day yesterday. Everybody asked me what was going on. So I think that from a definition of mechanical repair, we need to be realistic. There's a repair and then there's a full replacement. Repair, I just don't see piecemeal repairs on HVACs getting anybody coming in getting permits. Is there truly danger if somebody's changing out a fuse? Scott's watching. He just gave me a thing to tell you. I don't see anybody coming in. Capacitors, compressors. I don't think any residential air guy has ever come in and pulled a permit for one of those in somebody's house. And you know that happens all the time.
They're supposed to.
Are they supposed to per code of the International Construction Code? Or is that they're supposed to?
And I'm not the code person, so I couldn't tell you. I'm not feet on the ground.
Because bad air,
Okay. So we leave it there and just understand we're not going to actually ever get it done. All right. It's there, but we're all agreeing that enforcement of that is not our priority.
So you get a code enforcer, yeah.
Okay.
no, because it goes back to building inspector.
Okay. Hang on. What else falls under mechanical?
Gas.
No, that's plumbing.
So mechanical is just HVAC? Or you said vent hood for commercial properties?
Yeah, 'cause you got
Okay.
fire suppression vent hoods.
Okay. So that would need to go to 130 and the average of only 14 pulled a year at a average rate of $94. Okay. That's telling you that's the vent hood repairs right there. Okay. All right. Mechanical miscellaneous. What would that entail? I know we talked about this, that this was just kind of the
That was
catch-all for,
One that was there was a blank item, so I just called it miscellaneous. I didn't know what else to do with it.
so it probably is part of the mechanical repair, and if we merge those two lines together,
Probably.
it's probably there. Okay. Windows. Window replacement, window repair, window new
Shouldn't be
build.
anything for window repair.
It's replacements.
So
And I'm sure you can see that not many have been pulled for.
no. And again, you're telling me that this is national standard,
Energy
international
code.
standard, energy code, that a window replacement.
Because he needs to see the sticker on it to confirm that it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I think I've done one window replacement permit
Blues.
in the time I've been here.
We look at replacing our windows, and because it's historical, And when they came in, it was $3,500 a window.
Oh. Crescent Building Supply.
Crescent Building Supply?
Yeah,
They
mine
can
was
do this.
$1,000 a window.
Oh, wow. Well, we didn't go with, yeah, after I looked at, well, that's our retirement right there. Well, I'm not gonna take out another
I
one.
have wood frame,
Mhm.
but I do have a metallic track.
Okay.
And it conformed to what the state allowed me to do for preservation.
Crescent Building?
Crescent.
Yeah.
Crescent lumber is actually what it's called, right? Crescent lumber.
Yeah, there's
Lumber and hardware. I think.
Henson's
Lumber.
lumber and Henson's metal.
Okay.
Well, I did, is it Henson's in Crescent? The big yard? It's
Yeah.
Henson's. That's what it was.
Henson's.
That's how I knew you now.
Okay.
They did all, they did windows. Okay.
So
Fences,
just as a time check,
yes,
how are we doing?
we're okay. We're
Okay.
almost there.
I've got a 4 a.m.
I got you.
Okay.
Fence. I absolutely believe that we need a fence inspection because you have to make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
it's on property lines because there's too many times where fences have been built not on property
I
lines.
think you need to put something in here for retaining walls.
Okay.
Well, it's retaining walls over 4 feet.
Why is 4 feet the number?
Code. Anything up to 4 feet doesn't have to be.
How close can a retaining wall be built to a property line? Can it be on
Depends
it?
on the ordinance.
If it's on the property line, I think you should have a permit for
Okay.
any of them.
Okay. We'll look at that.
For the same
Okay.
reason,
Okay.
for the same reason for fences, yeah.
Mhm.
Make sure, yeah. Got it. Makes sense.
We might have had some issues with retaining walls.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen some doozies.
Irrigation and backflow. It's another one that right now the average has been $84, but to cover cost, it would be $130.
Yeah. Is this sprinkler systems? Is that what you're calling irrigation and backflow?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to make sure that this one, because it can, if the water goes
Right.
back into
Yeah.
the water supply.
It's just like 7-Eleven or any of the restaurants have a backflow on
Right.
their soda fountains.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what is
Just learned
move?
something.
There's been cases where something is backflowed back into the system and it's killed like 60 to 100 people.
Whoa, because it contaminated.
Yeah.
That's not
Hey,
good.
we have to have,
So you see the
In
importance of
commercial-
these codes.
yeah, in commercial, we have to make sure like all of our,
Wow.
water and sewage cannot backflow.
Yeah.
So all of our
You know, it's
water
like your
lines and
water
everything.
trucks. You know, you can't put the hose all the way down in there now. That's
Yeah,
part of
there
it,
you
the
go.
backflow.
The word, the word just says move.
That's house relocation,
Oh,
moving
moving a property, a physical
house
house.
move. Move, you know.
Okay,
Not the move that move.
okay.
Punch you now.
You're saying that we, on average, have only had one, and it was a $40 fee. That's a $130 permit was what it would be. God, that I would think would need to be higher than that. If you're lifting a physical property and moving it, whether it's a she shed or you're going down streets, you have all this other stuff, and then you have to make sure that it is
So that is all coordinated through the mover.
okay.
Our big thing is the paperwork for the permit. There's an inspection to make sure that all the utilities are disconnected. And then once they move it, to go back and make sure that everything's cleaned up.
So it's kind of like a demo.
So it's a 2 visit.
A Well, that doesn't take into account public works having to go out, because public works generally will pull a meter or make sure it's disconnected.
I feel like $300 is nothing if you're lifting and moving a physical property from one plat to another.
As far as dwellings go, yes, but what if it's like a storage building?
Accessory building.
Well, you can distinguish those then, right? Yeah. just
Yeah.
Distinguish those.
You can say something, what, 100 square feet and smaller is one fee, and anything over that, or 200 or 300, 500? 500 and under is one, and
I wouldn't even differentiate that, just, inhabitable versus non-inhabitable.
okay,
There you go.
I can go with that.
Makes sense because you can use some accessory buildings to turn into a tiny
Mm-hmm.
guest house.
Okay, so an inhabitable,
Just say habitable and non-habitable. Ibibidu. Say it fast 3 times, please.
Or you can add, say uninhabitable.
okay, so a habitable building move, you're really talking about 2 or 3 visits. So $300 to $500, where do we fall?
I have no reference point. I mean, what does it take to make sure it's safe to do? That's what the purpose. of the
Well,
permit
so
is,
his
right?
time, half hour, but you're at an hour and a half.
But you also have to put in the risk of it not being properly inspected. I mean, there is a fee for looking,
Well, but like the moving company would take responsibility for,
right,
So if it's habitable and they're moving it, they're doing it for a reason.
Right,
Means it's of good condition,
correct.
500.
Okay,
If it's not inhabitable and it's not of good condition, save $300 and tear it down. Haul it off. In dumpsters. What are the permits for that?
what, for demo?
Yeah, 130?
Probably.
So save,
yeah,
Right
it's gonna be
now it's-
130.
Yeah.
So say $300 for an uninhabitable moving, 500 for a habitable moving.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. Okay, permanent sign needs to be 130. It's been averaging 106. What would fall under building repair?
okay,
Replacing siding,
yeah,
stuff like that.
roof.
No, roof.
No, roof's a separate thing.
Okay,
So replacing siding,
Underpinning, if it's pier and beam.
that's foundation.
it's averaging $413 right now. We could bring that down to 130. Do we see a reason not to?
structural issues, wall repairs, floor repairs, siding, window and door repairs, gutter, chimney.
So you're saying subfloor repairs?
Yeah.
Drywall repair, ceiling
No,
repair.
no, no.
nothing
Drywall
else.
repairs, I'm not gonna sit here and say you need a
Right.
thing. No. Subfloors, underpinning, siding replacement, I'm good with.
Okay, foundation.
Foundation, yeah,
Foundation needs to be separate.
foundation should be separate.
Okay. What about? Well, these are interior things. Safety floor.
And I don't think I had a foundation on there, but it should be 137 as well.
Yeah.
Separate section for like driveways.
There is not. Do you think driveway needs something?
Well, on our current list, page 6 of 11, we've got driveway approach.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that was in our system, if it was under building or,
Yeah, it's just a separate.
There's foundation repairs too.
because I just pulled,
Yeah, so I put foundation repair in here.
I pulled off of that citizen serve.
Okay.
So I don't know how it was all lumped together.
A specific use permit is another one that it would be 130, but we've got the mailings that we need to deal with. So we need to re-look at that. Okay, mechanical additions. Right now, it has been averaging $680, but we're saying we can bring it down to 130.
And that's basically you're adding a room and extending your HVAC.
I got it. Okay.
Wiring and plumbing under separate things then for that? Okay. Plumbing repair, replace. So again, this is if we're moving from PVC to PEX or we're doing,
Your sewer gets backed up and they gotta go in and dig
Right.
it out and
Okay.
it's rusted out
Sewer-
cast iron.
Sewer line repair.
Yep.
Or new sewer, just like we.
Yeah, new sewer lines.
No, leak repair is not part of that. Okay.
so having to change a cartridge in a shower is not going to be in this, but if you are replacing piping, it will be. Okay, that's 130. Okay, electrical repair. That's if we are dealing with,
Lightning strike takes out your panel.
okay, so it's really about panels.
Panel.
It's not about, or if you're rewiring a house.
If you're rewiring, then it.
Yeah.
It gets a permit. Because that goes back to life safety again.
Right. Okay. And so that would be 130, which we've been averaging 423. Roof. Is this roof small repair, roof big repair, or roof anything that happens on the roof?
Commercial or residential.
Okay. What is your thought on roof? Is it
It
anything?
doesn't matter the size.
No, but
Because
is
it's-
it, if I'm replacing a few shingles or I'm fixing, so this is
Redoing the entire roof.
redoing the entire roof. What if I'm only doing a quarter of the roof?
It's still gotta be. And we can adjust
So if
for
you're,
that.
okay,
We can go, okay, if you're just doing that much, we can bump it back to type A, which would be the $60 or whatever. it is.
okay. So,
That's the joy of this.
yeah,
It gives us the freedom to go back and go, okay, here's the cost that it's gonna cost you.
okay. So we're saying that roof is 130. Right now, it's been averaging 150. You're saying if we look at this from a residential to a commercial, are you thinking that mainly because of size or because of material or because of,
Livelihood of the resident. A business is a business. Residential is a person.
okay. So what are your thoughts on a fee for then roof commercial? If 130 is the residential, if it's a complete redo,
It's definitely
then-
gonna take a lot longer with inspections and.
so it's probably at least an hour on an inspection as opposed to half hour. So we're probably should be talking
Double.
130 225, 250.
225, 250, I don't think 250.
I was gonna say 250.
Okay. All right. You have the word alteration.
Alteration to what?
I don't know. I'm asking Steve. Whatever it is, it's $815 on average right now. So it's a big one.
Alteration.
Um,
Is that a scope alteration or a building alteration?
The only thing I can think of would be commercial. You're altering.
so this would be the Glenn Wilson stuff as we were using, putting
Yeah.
in.
You're altering the building use and
Yeah.
the layouts.
When you're moving your walls.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd
So altering,
come up with a
altering
different
commercial
name.
space. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, well, we're gonna work on that.
Yeah. like
Remodel,
But I don't
repurpose
think,
remodel.
commercial remodel.
Yeah, commercial remodel.
okay, I'm good with that. Okay. I think that again is one that probably takes more time than just a normal half-hour inspection. So that shouldn't be the
Probably take
130.
Multiple inspections.
Yeah, so that needs to be higher.
Mhm. Anything commercial needs to be higher.
So we've been averaging 800 on that.
That seems, that probably, if that's the history on it, that sounds like a good number to land on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Commercial demolition. We've averaged $56, but we need 130 to cover costs.
I think that's fine.
Residential demolition, we have averaged $45, but we need 130 to cover
I think that's
costs.
fine.
Okay, new mechanical. It's been 200 as an average.
But you're gonna say 130.
It's gonna be 130, but I honestly, again, think this should be commercial versus residential.
Okay.
You know, which guy never got his inspection at the hospital, did he?
They were called for inspections.
A final. And he's done with the HVAC.
So I'm still thinking we're probably in that 300 range on a commercial for new mechanical.
Mhm.
And then a residential would be the 130.
That's basically one inspection and paperwork.
Yeah. Plumbing remodel. What's the difference in a plumbing remodel versus a plumbing repair?
A repair is an emergency.
You know, we
where-
said repair was like sewer line problems, replacing your piping.
Right.
So a remodel would be
If you're tearing out the whole
Lines.
bathroom and
and moving.
Moving the sink or the shower or
even
toilet,
putting
Okay.
in the new tub.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be changing the,
Okay.
upgrading from clay pipe to plastic pipe.
Okay, I got it. All right, so it's been averaging 115. We need 130. Is that reasonable? Do we need to be higher on that?
probably because it's multiple inspections.
Multiple inspections, so 250?
A commercial?
This is, right now, it's just an average, so it would be both.
Yeah, because you've got rough in, top out, final, you've got at least
Three inspections,
inspections.
and that's whether it's commercial or residential. And honestly, in that case, a commercial is probably not gonna be,
Commercial's gonna be more inspections than that because they can do it in sections and call multiple inspections.
should it be by bathroom then?
Because So it's not just gonna be bathrooms.
It's kitchens, it's this, it's that, okay.
By
Like
fixture?
Glenrose ISD.
No, I don't wanna do, we wanna get rid of that whole by
Not,
fixture
not a
thing.
fixture, I mean
Yeah.
like toilet or shower.
That's
sink.
fixture.
Okay, so if we said residential,
Square footage?
you're talking 2, maybe 3, 4 places that you're having to inspect, right? Commercial, you could be talking a lot.
6, 10.
200, 400?
Yeah,
You can-
200, 400,
mop sinks.
yeah. Okay,
If there's a residential commercial difference.
yeah, we'll do that again.
I feel like I'm on the Doge team.
Cutting out waste and overspending.
Yeah.
We'll just call you Mr. Muskie.
All right, so then the same thing with
The only
electrical.
difference is we didn't apply AI to go through this.
Right?
We should have, huh?
Well, you could have uploaded the spreadsheet and
Into Copilot, yeah.
and then or any of them now, as long as you've got a file, and then put the prompt and criteria and help you determine fair fee structures, and then have
Yeah.
them search other communities that do that.
I wouldn't trust it. I'd trust this better.
Okay,
It's based on our
new
actual costs.
electrical,
Well, you can put your actual cost in and have it
okay.
then figured out based
New
on.
electrical, wanna do the same commercial and residential, 2, 4?
Yep.
So these permits and inspections are really just for the safety and betterment of the whole community, not just that
Right.
property.
Correct.
Okay. Addition. We were averaging 646
That's gotta be commercial.
because you have. So on an addition, if we're looking commercial or residential, you're looking at the building plans, you're looking at drainage, you're looking at everything that affects the plat, you're looking at parking, you're looking at roof joining, you're looking at the whole kit and caboodle. So we're gonna divide again, residential and commercial.
250, 500?
I think in commercial, it's probably a bit more than that.
Yeah.
Probably about 750 for commercial.
Sounds good.
And then
Residential, 250, 300.
there's at least 4 inspections. Plus probably a good hour of plan review.
So
Well, minimum of 300.
minimum 300. 350, 400.
I'll put it in 4.
4.
'Cause I'm trying to keep them all grouped.
Yeah. You go? That makes sense to you? Makes sense to you? Then commercial, the 800? Because we already was doing commercial remodeling at 800. And
Commercial
then,
addition would probably be more than that.
okay. remember, you're already gonna get a plumbing fee, you're getting your electrical fee. You're getting your HVAC fee, mechanical fee.
Because we don't validate.
I'm sorry, what?
We don't validate, like some towns will validate under a building permit.
All
Right.
inclusive.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Okay, so I'm just saying, so we're getting, so in a commercial addition or commercial remodel. So a commercial remodel, we said 800. Commercial addition, you're gonna be looking at things along the way, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical. So do you need 800 is enough to cover your review time and everything else? Because you're already, when you do your plat review, you're looking at the electrical, you're looking at the plumbing, you're looking at what they're supposed to be doing. And then you're doing the permit and inspection on, did they match the plan and the plan was to code?
I've got at least 8 inspections,
Okay,
at least. Because you're looking at dirt work, you're looking at underground rebar, concrete, framing, structural.
So that's $1,040 at $130 apiece. Is that reasonable? Okay, all right. So $1,100.
okay. New plumbing. We did 2 and 4 for electrical. We did 2 and 4 for plumbing remodels, so 2 and 4 for new plumbing. Okay. You have new residential. It just says new residential. So I'm assuming that that's the
General permit,
general permit.
general building permit. Which is framing, slab, all that.
So do you need a residential and a commercial version on that?
And I should already have that in there. Because the
Um,
very bottom one in dark blue should have been,
New commercial, I see it. Yeah. Okay.
because I know it's more expensive.
Okay, so on the residential, it was running 1756 on average.
I probably didn't have enough inspections on it, so.
I know you didn't, because you're back at the 130 on the mark
Yeah.
again, so we need to add up to that. So if we're saying that a addition to residential is 400, that's got to be at least 1,000, 1,500 for a new
What was it averaging?
1756.
Our current or new residential build is 65 cents per square foot.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we take the average 1750.
Well, I've had contractors tell me they're paying 15,000 for permits.
Okay, so that's not here.
I like the
No.
county.
That's not here.
And I know we're not trying to gouge or anything, but I'm thinking 2,000 would be fair.
I mean, what is it costing a 3-2? What do when you're building a house right now, you're building what, about an 1,800, 2,500 square foot?
Mm-hmm.
Labor, the actual cost of goods on it is 150 or so.
Oh, don't get me lying. I don't know.
No, I just
He plays in the sandbox.
say
He's a diggy dirt.
he's a, I know, but he knows the other stuff. So I'm thinking construction materials, not necessarily all labors, construction materials, just based on,
150 to 200.
yeah. So, yeah, 2,000 doesn't seem like an unreasonable number.
No, and we've had a builder say you should increase your fees.
Yeah. Doesn't it suck that I can guess sometimes things like that? All right, so new commercial, we have been averaging about 55, 66, let's just call it 5,600. So this is one where, again, when we look at it, that number can vary so greatly based off size.
And I know that if we ever have like an industrial area where some of these big tilt wall comes in, those could run $20,000 for a permit.
So how do we, I mean, I don't see any way around a commercial permit fee for this without looking at it based off size. I just don't see how we do. So let's go back and you and I mean, somewhere, so let's say because we've talked about this before. If we look at minimum sizes, we came back with Whataburger and Starbucks. Oh God, what was the square footage? We were talking about under 3,000 square feet. So I think you've got to have a permit fee for a size like that. And then a permit fee
Or Dollar
Warehouses or.
for warehouses.
General.
whatever.
Dollar
Yeah.
General or something like that.
So we've always kind of looked at it as a 2,500, a 5,000, and then above.
Or you could just have a per square foot fee.
Could we on this one?
I'd raise it from 65 cents.
Well, the 65 cents has been based off of residential only.
Gotcha.
Commercial would be page 1, which is based on the dollar valuation.
And you
So-
can't do that anymore.
So that was me going, okay, so we have a $750,000 job valuation.
No, that's residential. You can't do valuation. You can still do it on commercial.
I think we need to look at it. So we
It's still
either doing
enough.
it as a per square foot fee,
That's still not enough.
or we've got to
But
do it
still
in some
another one of those
groupings.
that I'm going, okay, so
So this is a
$5
workshop,
for each
which
one
allows
person.
us to kind of play with this, talk it out, and come back for a final vote. I think we need to look at that. I think we need to look at it as a per square foot fee. But it needs to be, we need to make sure what that square foot fee is that we look at what it costs us to inspect the Whataburger, the Taco Bell, the Starbucks, and make sure that we're covering that cost.
Or like the condos, that's gonna be,
Well, it's gonna be, yeah. Okay. All right. We have some good ideas. Thank you. See, we accomplished something huge here. So, with that said, this was the workshop, so we don't actually have any motions or anything. We'll come back with all these things. All right, having no further business. Is there anybody with further business? Having no further business before the commission, this meeting is adjourned at 7:35.
Right. I'm looking something up on feeds. But we're done.
Nope, we're done. All right.